to keep its relationship with private capital fresh and vibrant. As we reflected on a choice of focus for this edition of the Investors Forum, we considered the fact that this administration is in its last quarter, and it seemed apt to reflect on progress to date. You will no doubt be hearing more about the important milestones in the Ogun State journey over the next 2 days. Despite celebrating these achievements, we still have a great deal to achieve if we are to realize the state's potential. Therefore, the next 2 days will be about exploring, along with all our partners and friends, how Ogun State can consolidate the gains made in recent years and accelerate economic growth. We will begin our 2-day journey by looking at the big picture. Nigeria is out of recession, propelled by a non-oil economic diversification agenda. Ogun State is a quintessential non-oil economy, with strength in manufacturing, as well as latent potential in agriculture and solid minerals, while its proximity to large markets presents the opportunity of a vibrant service sector. So we will explore what it takes to deliver a diverse, inclusive economy. And we look forward to having the Honourable Minister of Finance set the tone with an articulation of the short to medium-term prospects for the Nigerian economy. We will also have contributions from leaders in commercial agriculture, housing, skills development, and from development partners and technology to kick things off. We will then turn our attentions more fully to agriculture. The sector is the largest employer of labor in the state, but makes a very small contribution to state output. Currently, our results are not commensurate with our effort, with the effort of our citizens, and this must change if our people are to enjoy rising disposable income and a better quality of life. So you will hear about the aspirations of Ogun State in this important sector. Then the Honourable Minister of Agriculture will give us his thoughts on a way forward. We will then engage sector practitioners on how these aspirations can be realized in more practical terms. Then we will take things up a gear. We have the privilege and pleasure of having His Excellency Felipe Calderon, former President of Mexico, who will be sharing his experiences and insights from leading Mexico for 6 years, a developing country which, like Nigeria, like Ogun State, has vast potential in the areas of industry and agriculture, and also has challenges that come from having a sizable population with a certain degree of inequality. After lunch, we will talk technology. I'm sure that you will all agree with me that innovation and technology present an opportunity for developing countries such as ours to leapfrog age-old problems and to accelerate economic growth and unlock new sectors of the economy that will engage our large youthful populations. We look forward to the contribution of Mr. Mo Salem, the former Chief Business Officer at Google X, an innovation expert who will inspire us with his experiences of the impact of technology, innovation, and out-of-the-box thinking on emerging economies. Ladies and gentlemen, as a nation, we have placed great emphasis on improving the ease of doing business in order to help us achieve our development and growth objectives. Tomorrow we will hear from investors here in Ogun State. We do not take these investment inflows for granted, and we look forward to hearing from this important constituency on how we can serve them better. This is important because Ogun State has its sights on moving from being the #1 industrial hub in Nigeria to being the #1 in Africa. This will require us to dig deeper, and it will require all parts of the orchestra to be synchronized as we drive further growth. So we will hear from captains of industry, from diverse sectors as autos and food and beverages on how to catalyze this next wave of growth. We will then round off the day with another look at some of the more exotic aspects of agriculture. We hear from those who grow without soil and those who are deploying greenhouse technologies to help us to expand our homegrown produce offering. So without further ado, it remains for me to welcome you all once more to the 4th edition of the Ogun State Investors Forum, and to express my sincere appreciation to all of you for taking time out of your schedules for this event. I assure you once more that the gateway state, the new frontier, the emerging economic powerhouse, is consolidating the gains of the past 7 years, is poised to accelerate growth, and is and will always be open for business. Thank you. We'll now be showing you a brief documentary on the state.
Ogun State has created an investment-friendly environment, making the state the investor's destination of choice in Nigeria.
This is the game changer. This is our one-stop shop. When we came, the ease of doing business, we moved from maybe 35th before we came to the top 4 in Nigeria. And I want to believe that when the next report is released, probably we'll be where we should be. So what is the one-stop shop? You want to set up a business, you want to do anything, you come to us, we talk you through it. And what we've done is in such a way that all that we need, everybody is in one office. So it's not that you will go and apply for land today, tomorrow you will go to maybe the tax office, day after you go to where they will search. No, everybody's under one roof, and that is the one thing that is very attractive to will-be investors, and that's why almost everybody is coming to us.
Whilst it's been an arduous task for many states to create such a conducive environment, Ogun State is one of the more successful stories in ensuring and providing a great reception for investment.
Ogun is a state of many firsts. Like the governor would say, the first to access Western education, the first Nobel laureate in literature, first professor of medicine, the first female to drive a car on the continent of Africa.
Infrastructure investments in the areas of road networks, airports, seaports, rail, power, in addition to access to health, education, are the backbone required to attract investors to the manufacturing, mining, and agricultural opportunities in the state.
We have partnered with the development agency to help us with the subset of the overall plan. And the focal areas are in the agricultural sector, in industry as a whole, and skills development.
Education in Ogun State puts us as capital when it comes to that sector. We're the education capital of Nigeria, and it's not difficult to find out why. We host perhaps the largest number of tertiary institutions and some of the most premier schools when it comes to secondary education.
Creating a great environment for investment has been a deliberate and sustained effort, which today is paying great dividends.
Today, we are the industrial capital of Nigeria. And that is why today, in the last 2 years, 75% of all FDIs, foreign direct investment in the area of manufacturing, of course, was attracted to Ogun State.
We realized that we could not continually rely on the power holding company because it's at best epileptic. So we invited a lot of private providers and went into some sort of arrangements with them to provide power for us. All we do is just to pay at the metered point for whatever we consume, and this has been working.
Ogun State has piloted a social health insurance scheme that's about the most celebrated statewide social health insurance scheme in Nigeria, tagged Araya. Araya is a scheme that guarantees financial protection for clients at the point of service provision or service consumption. For the insurance scheme to work well, it has to be statewide, and we're at the point where we are enacting a law that will institutionalize a statewide scheme.
The state has also made progress in its policies regarding agriculture and the use of land.
Essentially, we've looked at the state and broken it down into regions. Those regions also further drill down into sub-regions. Essentially, it's to unearth what each sub-region has, what natural assets.
Ogun State has 75% of its land is arable, but maybe a third is under cultivation right now. and agriculture accounts for around 5% of the state's economy, which is really disproportionate when you consider the amount of labor that is tied to agriculture.
Ogun State is looking at all of the levers that are required to ensure that our farmers are well able to increase their level of production. And we're talking about processing, we're talking about marketing, we're talking about logistics, and all the things that are required to ensure that the product gets to the market, right place, right time, right quality, and at the right cost.
The state government is taking a decisive step and producing plans and policies that would deliver an environment in which business can thrive.
One of these incentives is on taxes and levies. And what have we done on taxes and levies? Because of this multiplicity of taxes, we've been able to harmonize our tax. Rather than to pay several from all stages, we've been able to bring them into a point and at a reduced rate. In view of that, we've been able to attract investors into Ogun State.
With the private sector and mutually beneficial partnerships, the laudable goals of a government are achievable, especially in the areas of housing.
The agency that I manage, the Housing Corporation, has demonstrated in a number of projects that people's desire for homes can be met. At the end of the day, it's not really about delivering homes, it's about delivering communities. And that is really critical, because the home is just a little component of the community or the environment that we're delivering. But the key thing there is value engineer and even reverse engineer what can people afford, and then plan a home that meets that affordability.
To drive investment into the state is the strategic intent of the state government, and there are various policies that have been created by the government to ease investors into the state.
Ogun State is now an alternative, not an option. I remember when we came in, what we said was that Ogun State is a volcano that is going to erupt economically. But I'm happy to tell you that Ogun State has actually erupted. We are now #1 industrial hub of Nigeria. I mean, in the last 7 years, about 304 industries in terms of factories and industries have actually opened shops in Ogun State.
So truly, Ogun State is open for business, and we are all ready for you.